Before we begin, this video is sponsored by Sleeve Chief. You can find good quality accessories to make your deck and gear look good. Get card protector sleeves with artworks of all your favorite archetypes and cards for the main and extra deck. There's extraordinary border sleeves, and they've got you covered with deck boxes, playmats, and dice as well. Head on over to Sleeve Chief's website through my affiliate link in the description box below and use my code SHADOW at checkout to get 5% off your entire order. Let's begin.
Hey guys, I'm Naya and welcome back to the channel. So the ban list is going to be released probably in about a couple weeks time, and I figured today it would be fun to talk about some of the cards that can come off the ban list and probably not cause many problems, if any. So let me know what some of the cards you think can come back are, and also some of the ones that you really want to see return but literally probably have zero chances of coming back because they're too broken. Today we're going to be mentioning 3 cards, but there might be more that can either come off the ban section or become semi-limited, even unlimited, so let me know in the comments what your thoughts are about that. The first card we're going to look at today is Orcust Harp Horror. So Orcust was upon release, not that great, and then later when it got support, it became a really busted deck, and it was just a major issue when Nightmare Mermaid was still a thing, and you could literally use any 2 monsters with different names and go for the Orcust combo. And after Nightmare Mermaid got banned, a couple months, Orcust was still the best deck, and the Sky Striker cards were splashed in that deck, and by the time the 2020 ban list rolled around that completely destroyed everything, we were sort of just, even though a lot of people enjoyed that format, it became sort of stale, and we were just annoyed with how powerful Orcust, Sky Striker, Thunder Dragon, all of these decks seemed at that point in time. But right now, a couple years later, a lot of formats later, I have a feeling, and a lot of people as well probably, that power creep can just sort of keep Orcust in check even if Harp Horror comes back. If we look at this particular format and the Cyberstorm Axis format that's coming, for example, Kashtira, if it doesn't get majorly hit on the ban list, is a problem for Orcust. A Rise card is really strong. Cards like Dimension Shifter are kind of strong. Also, if I sound weird, I have a bit of a cold. So yeah, these cards are probably a problem for Orcust to contend with, and if Harp Horror comes back, it's only going to be at 1. And also with 1 engage, that's just a shade of what Orcust Sky Striker could do in the last format. And then we need to look at what the deck actually accomplishes, like what's the end board, and they end on like something along the lines of Crescendo. They have Babel set up so they can revive Dingirsu and send another card. You can also put up IP, for example, to then together with Dingirsu go into Nightmare Unicorn and spin another card. But to look at all of that, you have outs for different cards. You know, you have Bishios which interact with light and dark monsters, so you can just banish Orcust cards and prevent them from comboing, or you can wait for your turn and banish the target for Symbol Skeleton and just be done with it. So there's the Bishio side of things. You can just Nibiru the entire board. Like if they end on a Galatea and you use Nibiru, you feel like it's worth it, you're turning off their Crescendo. So then in your turn, they would have to revive a Link for their 1 negate to be live, and you can probably contend with 1 negate. There's also Kaijus. You know, in the next format, Kaijus, cards like Santa Claus and stuff like that are going to be really useful, and since they end on like a Link or an IP or something, if you deal with 1, which is really nice, then you only have 1 other thing to keep in mind, and again, probably you can deal with 1 thing. Also, just talking about why was Harp in particular banned, Nightmare Mermaid, of course, was an issue that had to go, but then Harp is, because it special summons from the deck, what really connects the entire deck together. You can just get anything out of the deck that you need in that particular point in time. So of course they had to ban a card that special summons, but right now the only reason why I think the card is still banned, even though it's special summons, even though it's strong, but not as strong anymore, it's because it's a fan favorite. And if the card comes back and there's this Orcust hype or whatever, Konami doesn't really want that because they want to push new products, they want to push, you know, new sets, new decks and whatever, and they want to put a price tag on it. So we're gonna talk about that pattern a little later actually, but they don't want to do it because it would just be too much hype and it would sort of take the spotlight away from the other cards. Although I think it would just be kind of exciting and probably not that meta relevant, so people will still buy their products and they will still invest in meta decks because Orcust might not even be a deck that's able to contend to the highest level. The only thing they can be splashed together with, or one of the things, is probably Tearlaments. You know, there's connection there, of course, with milling cards to the graveyard, but Tearlaments are struggling on their own. So there would have to be a lot of playtesting involved, a lot of theory going into that version of a deck, and I don't think that's an issue. I think it would sort of promote, like, I guess, interesting deck building, bringing a deck like Tier back into the mix if you unban and limit Harp Horror. Now those are of course my thoughts, but let me know what you think, and I genuinely don't think it would be much of an issue. Now the next card is going to be Blaster, Dragon Ruler of Infernos, and a lot of people will say Dragon Rulers can probably come back to 1, like all of them. I don't necessarily agree, because the Redux, being Earth, has kind of a very good attribute. So you probably don't wanna bring back Redux, but arguably the Water one could also come back, but it does have a very good effect of also sending to the graveyard, whereas Blaster just pops a card. And also looking at the attributes, they're not that ideal, so it probably wouldn't be splashed in Dragon decks. Again, a lot of people will claim that that's just extenders for the Dragon deck, but it's not perfect attributes, and it's only 1 effect per turn. So if you use the effect to, I don't know, pop or something, it's not going to act as an extender anymore. And fire is one of the attributes that's not exactly very meta relevant right now, so bringing something like Blaster back could probably work, in my opinion, and the Water one arguably as well, but it is a bit better, like I said. And the last card I wanted to talk about is going to be Zodiac Barrage. Now Zodiac, of course, was a really busted deck, and then everything got sort of like checked and dealt with. Then Dryden came back and Barrage was at 1, and of course it's a really busted extender, and then Zodiac saw play together with Outledge and also separately, and Barrage was just this sacky one-off that was so annoying to deal with and just so lame when you could deal with their normal summon or something and then they had Barrage, and like they decided to ban Trident and Barrage, and it just sort of makes sense because both cards are really strong. But then you look at a card like Trident and sort of ask yourself, why isn't Trident back? Because it's not that horrible if Barrage is banned. And then we can go back to the argument I mentioned before, where they just like to print new cards and make them do sort of the same thing but put a price tag on it, like a Rice Heart is. Trident pops, a Rice Heart banishes, and a Rice Heart is also a Macrocosmos, and it's really strong and and all of that. And why is Jide still banned though? So they're probably not gonna release it. Number 1, it's still kind of busted, and number 2, they want to push other cards. So if Jiden probably isn't coming back, why couldn't Barrage come back to 1? I don't think people are going to be picking up Zodiac and playing the Zeus Turbo, and if they do, I think they deserve 1 Barrage, if you know what I mean. So that's my thoughts on that card. I don't think it deserves to still be banned, especially with Trident still on the ban list. And overall, just all of these cards that I'm listing today, and there might be other ones that you can list in the comments. When it comes to all of these cards, they can just put them to 1, and if they prove to be an issue, they can either drop an emergency ban list or they can just ban it on the next one if they want to let it live for a couple weeks or a month or 2. So I think that would be kind of cool to see these cards come back and to see what people can do with them. And like I said, of course, there might be more. Not a lot on the ban section though, although you could come up with some also on the limited, semi-limited portion of the list. And I guess that's going to be it for today. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and of course, like I said many times, let me know your thoughts. I always love to read you guys' responses and comments. And of course, if you did like this video, please make sure to like it. It really helps the channel. Of course, sub, check out all the other social media, check out Sleeve Chief, get your cards on Card Market, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.